नमो भगवते Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Prabhuji, and somebody will be reading the English part and I read the Sanskrit.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Okay, text number 25. Sanay Sanay Uparamed Buddhyadriti Grihitaya Atma Samstam Manakritva Nakinchid Api Chintayet.
Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Number 26. Yato yato nischalati manaschanshalam astiram tatastato niyam yaitad atmaneva avasamnayet.
From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
Sorry, have we stopped or just me? Sorry, is there an internet problem or just for me?
For me also it stopped.
Okay. I think Shyam Prabhu probably is still there. Oh, seems Shyam Prabhu had some internet problem. Can't see him on. Keep joining back, hopefully.
Prabhuji, can someone else read in the meantime while waiting for Shyam Prabhu to rejoin? Please.
Okay, yeah. Give half a minute.
Prabhuji, I'm here back.
Thank you so much. Carry on.
Can I go ahead with
please.
Okay, text number 27. Prasanta manasam hayenam yoginam sukamuttamam upaiti santa rajasam brahmabhutam akalmasham.
The yogi, whose mind is fixed on me, verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realized his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds.
Text number 28. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigatakalmashaha sukena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukamasnute.
Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord.
Text number 29. Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani iksate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere.
Text number 30. Yo mam pasyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pasyati tasyaham na pranasyami sacha me na pranasyati.
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor he is ever lost to me.
Text number 31. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam bhajate ekatvam astitah sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mayi vartate.
Such a yogi who engaged in the worshipful service of the Super Soul, knowing that I and the Super Soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances.
Text number 32. Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pasyati yo Arjuna sukam va yadi va dukkam sayogi paramo matah.
He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna.
Text number 33. Arjuna Vacha. Yoyam yogas tvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pasyami chanchalatvat sthitam stiram.
Arjuna said, O Madhusadana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
Text number 34. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayu rivasudushkaram.
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind.
Text number 35. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Asamsayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairyagena cha grihyate.
Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment.
Text number 36.
For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion.
Text number 37. Arjuna Vacha. Ayati Shraddhayo Peto Yoga Chalite Manasah Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus doesn't attain perfection in mysticism?
Text number 38. Kachinno bhaya vibrastas chinnavaram iva nasyati apratisto mahabaho vimudo brahmanapati.
O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man, who is bewildered from the path of transcendence, fall away from both spiritual and material success, and perish like a raven cloud, with no position in any sphere?
Text number 39. एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण चेतुम् अर्हसि अशेषतः तदन्य संशयस्य चेतना है उपपद्यते.
This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt.
Text number 40. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha naiveha namutra vinasastasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kasche durgatim tatagacchati.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activity does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
Prapya punya kritam lokan usitva saswati mati samaha suchinam srimatam gehe yoga brasto bijayate.
The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment of the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy.
Text number 42. Atava yoginam eva kule bhavati Dimatam etaddi durlabhataram loke janma yad idrisham.
Or, if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is a rare in this world.
Text number 43. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labate paurvadehikam yatate cha tata bhuyaha samsiddha kurunandana.
On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru.
Text number 44. पूर्वभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते हयवसोऽपि सः जुष्णासुर अपि योगस्य शब्द ब्रह्मति वर्तते.
By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures.
Text number 45. Prayatnad yata manastu yogi samsuddha kilbishai aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim.
And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately, achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal.
Text number 46. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi jnanibhyopi matodikaha karmibhyaschadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna.
A yogi is greater than an ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi.
Text number 47. Yoginam api sarvesam madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam sameyukta tamomataha.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, think of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. This is my opinion.
Thank you so much for reciting.
Thank you.
Shyam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We have another special announcement today. This is a auspicious appearance of our Shyam Prabhu today. So thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you, Prabhuji.
such a nice recitation of the Bhagavad Gita verses. We are really blessed to have you here, and we wish you all the very best and happy birthday. So I think everyone wants to chant 3 times Hari Bol for Shyam Prabhu's birthday.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
I
so
feel so
much.
blessed to receive all your wishes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very special. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nice. Okay, so I think at this stage we can go to the words of the day. Verses, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 36. We'll discuss it today. I will recite the verse once again, and we will go word by word translation, synonyms, translation, and translation. Samyatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me matihi vashyatmana tu yatata sakya vaptum upayataha. Synonyms. Asamyata, unbridled. Atmana, by the mind. Yoga, self-realization. Dushprapa, difficult to obtain. Iti, thus. Me, my. Matihi, opinion. Vashya, controlled. Atmana, by the mind. Tu, but. Yatata, while endeavoring. Sakya, practical. Avaptum, to achieve. Upayataha, by appropriate means. Quite a few known words like we use in our daily lingo as well as in our, at least in the Hindi language, who speaks or understand Hindi. Sakya is practical. Upay is like by appropriate means or some other means of doing, like kuch to upay batao. You say that. So very nice. So translation about Srila Prabhupada. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. It's Krishna's opinion. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as the spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna. Chant over verses as our prayer, and then if anyone would like to join in, you're welcome. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Jai Prabhupada. So welcome once again on midweek, Wednesday, one of the busiest day of the week. A lot of traffic, everyone goes around everywhere. People are very busy. We are all busy trying to meet the ends. And we are now discussing the mind, the Krishna's upay, Krishna's suggestion on how to control the mind. We discussed in the previous verse, abhyasena, and or vairagyana. Two purposes. There are two ways to do it: abhyas and vairagya. Abhyas is practice, and vairagya is detachment. So Arjun made a proposal. The mind, to control the mind is very difficult. Actually, it is saying it is easier to control the wind, blowing wind, as compared to controlling the mind. Krishna acknowledges that. He says, yes, no doubt, it's very difficult to control, but someone can do it by practice and detachment. And then goes on in this verse to say once again, reminds that if the mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. So that means it's almost refuting Arjuna's proposal of not controlling the mind. And we all have to probably try and control our mind. It is difficult, but then Krishna says by some means we can do it. Yeah, but mind is, so he says, for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled, who strives by appropriate means, is assured of success. So there is hope. So we just need to know what those means are. And once we know the means and we utilize those means in controlling the mind or dovetailing the mind, as Prabhupada would say, then success is assured. That is Krishna's opinion. So it's a very interesting word that's used here is samyata, asamyata, unbridled. When we go on a walk, we've seen bridle way, isn't it? Like, this is a bridle way. So does anyone know what is that? Any idea?
Prabhuji?
Yes.
It's where you take the horses, lead the horses.
Yes, absolutely. And so such an interesting word. This unbridled means these horses is unbridled. They're uncontrolled. Yeah, they're not reined. So I think in the previous verse somewhere Krishna or Prabhupada has given the example. And what are those 5 horses as compared to? the senses. The rein is the mind, and the driver is the intelligence, and the passenger is the soul. So this mind is unbridled, and the senses are unbridled, and they will be going all over the place. If the senses are uncontrolled, and the mind is uncontrolled, the intelligence is completely lost, and the soul is completely lost as well. And that could be a situation of someone or us or our own situation if we are not able to bridle the mind, not able to rein the senses, because there's a nature, the senses have the nature of going wild. And the ways to control the senses is, the best way is to engage them in bhakti, in the loving service of Krishna. So what is the loving service? That we have to practice and learn from the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and then we understand how exactly we practice that. So we read the purport, it's very small purport, very beautiful, and gives a lot of tips on how we can achieve it. So Prabhupada says, Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind is like, it's a disease. It's almost like if the mind is attached to the senses, to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. So it is very important to detach the mind, like uncouple the mind. If the mind is engaged in fulfilling the desires of the senses, the mind cannot be engaged in Krishna service. There's a beautiful verse we have read previously in the second chapter, verse number 44. Can you see my screen with verse 44, 244?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, would anyone like to read this verse and translation purport? Very relevant, exactly what Prabhupada is mentioning. So Bhogeshwar, I can maybe read. Bhogeshwar prasaktanam taya prahata chetasam ayasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. Translation, anyone?
I can read it, Prabhuji.
Please.
In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Hare Krishna.
Purport, anyone?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti says, Samyag adhiyate smin atma tattvayatatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy.
Yes, thank you. So such a strong word, Bhogeshware. Bhoga, become a bhogi or a yogi. So we used to say when we were young, like if someone is not a yogi, is a bhogi. So if we are engaged in the material enjoyment, we become bhogi. If we detach ourselves from the material enjoyment, then we become yogis. So Bhogeshwar Prasaktanam. Prasakta means this is very strongly attached to that. It's difficult because of the samskaras that we may have from the many, many births of enjoying a particular aspect of the material nature. That's called prasakta, very asakta, very strongly attached to that particular object. Everyone has our own, we all have our own situation. Maybe one or the other. Sometimes we don't realize, but the blessing is when we realize what we are attached to, and we then try to detach ourselves from that particular aspect of the material enjoyment. It could be anything. It's difficult to say. There's so many ways, as many colors of the modes of material nature, as many ways of enjoying this. As many, as I think I was saying before, as many types of living entities, 8.4 million, as many types of attachment or a prasakta, or a strong attachment to enjoy a particular sense in a particular way. This is how the different living entities are created. That's why they have different types of the sense objects. That's how this is, the material world gets created, for just to satisfy or to help facilitate the living entity to enjoy the particular material aspect. So this is the prasaktanam. Aprahata chetasam, bewildered in mind. So this is the difficulty. If the mind is, as we were saying before, engaged in the material matter, enjoying, which is matter is part of Maya, which is one which is not. So yes, so we go on from there. So that's true. And also the saying, Prabhupada is saying that someone who can detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. And the verse says, Samadho na vidhiyate, bhogeshwar prasaktanam taya pratachetasam, vyasayatmika buddhi, samadho na vidhiyate. And there was another verse that we read, vyasayatmika buddhi, eke he guru nandana. That was the other verse on the other side where it say, so with the Vaishayatmika buddhi was like one focused on one goal, a single goal, and all the other activities are around that particular goal. That's the person who can actually achieve samadhi or the success in the spiritual life. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. This is also quite a strong statement, but it is actually true, and it is seen, and we do experience, all of us in our own lives of practicing yoga, bhakti yoga, that if we are not fully engaged in serving Krishna's senses, shikkena shikkesha sevanam bhakti uchare. If we are not satisfying Krishna's senses and we engage in our own senses, then it is like we're trying to light a fire of spiritual life. Yes, we need a heat, the fire. And if we don't continue the fire, or we do the opposite of that, of material enjoyment instead of giving pleasure to Krishna, then we are doing the opposite. So this practice of satisfying Krishna in every situation, there is this two ways we can handle that. One is, how can I enjoy now? Yeah, so how can I enjoy now? 5-word sentence. So in any situation we might be, or how can I exploit now, or how can I control now? These are this is the material side of it. And to please Krishna, we have to do opposite of this and think, how can I please Krishna now? If we just change this is a practice that we are trying to do. If we change our perspective on any situation from how can I enjoy now to say, how can I please Krishna now? Or how can I serve Krishna now? Just those other, just switching that way, it's amazing that how our day-to-day life and activities and response to situation changes. It's amazing. Actually, to be honest, I did try to practice one day. And actually, I realized how much I was actually on the opposite side. And it is amazing, like we can be, since morning till night, we may be meeting so many situation, people driving on the roads. Okay, why is this person ahead of me? Oh my, I'm getting late, or something, some situation comes on. I say, at that time thinking, how can I control now? Instead of how can I please Krishna now? How can I help others now? So that's the two sides of it. So how can I serve Krishna now is that fire we keep on, and how can I enjoy now is pouring the water on it. If we keep doing both at the same time, obviously we're not getting far from there. That's an interesting point. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. So such a yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. This is most popular. I mean, it was quite popular even at the time of Prabhupada. We had some of the great yoga, so-called yoga. It's not true yoga. It's mostly it's about the asanas. There are some yoga teachers, they call themselves. It's very popular, and we have hot yoga, cold yoga, chakram yoga, vikram yoga, all sorts of yoga going on. But there's hardly any yoga which teaches the true yoga, which is yoga is what is uniting. Yunjana yogam, yunjana mat ashraya. Yeah, this is the seventh. I'll read that verse now. In a minute, I'll carry on. So what that true yoga is not there. So that showing the different asanas and ability to bend the body in a particular way, this way or that way, is quite impressive. That's what Prabhupada says, materially lucrative. How materially lucrative means it can do, we can get benefit in three ways. And how is that? In the subtle way, you say, okay, I might be profiting from that situation in one way or the other, or I may be, I may get some adoration, or I can get some distinction that how I can be, how I'm better, I can this way or that way. We're not saying that asanas are useless. Asanas, for the maintenance of the body is good. And also we'll come to that point soon. But to utilize that for the material purpose, for profit, adoration, or distinction, that's what it makes it useless, because we lose our track, lose our focus, lose our vyasayatmika buddhi, and then we can't attain samadhi. And therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. And why is that? Because the problem is the higher taste. That once we get the higher taste, for example, if someone chants in the morning, once we practice that for some days, or maybe weeks or months, we get the taste of that chanting in the morning, then it's very difficult to accept anything less than that. So that we have the higher taste. There is beautiful verse 259. Similar. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavajam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Please can someone read the translation and purport?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Please, ma'am.
Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense.
Can you read the translation and some of that?
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for objects remains. But ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in Krishna consciousness. Shall I read the purport?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulation is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restriction nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Yes. So this is the verse, like the attaining Param Dishtvani Vartate. Until the time we have the higher taste, we carry on with all the other practices. But that's what we should try and aim to get. Once we have developed that, in the association of devotees, it is easiest. By our own means, it is very, very difficult. But it becomes very, very easy when we have association of advanced devotees. We get the higher taste. It is like a taste is received from another devotee, and that taste we get. And then we want more and more of that. And then we come off the lower nature of the taste. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. This is such an important aspect. So yoga, whatever is the yoga practice, whatever is the benefit of that, we don't need a special separate endeavor. It automatically is achieved through Krishna conscious. So when we try to engage our mind in the chanting of the holy names, that everything that we're talking about, the dharana, the dhyan, the samadhi, everything automatically gets achieved. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. This is Krishna's words in Bhagavatam 11th canto. All the different types of yoga practices, they're all trying to get favor from Krishna. And without that favor, no matter what practice anyone is following, whether Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, there is no way they can attain success, because everything is in the hands of Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord, and all the other, even the demigods also are all subservient. They're only serving Krishna. They're only fulfilling the purpose of the Krishna's creation. So that's the other aspect. So Yogam Yunjam Mad Ashraya, I was saying about that verse. So this is very beautiful verse. Starting in the 7th, we'll be starting soon, 7th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjam Mad Ashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyashasi Tashranu. Lord is saying, translation, the Supreme Personality of God said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So the whole of the 7th chapter will go like that. And Krishna is going to give us everything that Krishna is saying. He will, verse by verse, everything will get unfolded. It's beautiful as we carry on more and more. What I'm saying is, yes, so one should therefore begin yoga practice. I'm going to read from here. As directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Shyam Prabhu just now beautifully read and Mataji did translation. Concentration of my mind upon the Krishna the Supreme is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tat Shunu, or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. So this is Krishna's words again. And then I have one more upay, one more means of doing it. Krishna says, Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mamay vaishas yuktatvam atmanam matparayana. Says, engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. And such a beautiful promise, a guarantee. Just do this. How do this? Engage the mind in thinking of me. As I was saying before, we in every situation, we think, how can I please Krishna now? And how do I absorb my mind? Once we start thinking in that way, we start thinking of Krishna more and more. Like, how do I know how to please Krishna? So I need to ask someone, or maybe I need to refer to scripture, or maybe I hear more about Krishna. And the good thing is because we are, as a soul, we are naturally attracted to Krishna. It is not difficult. We become automatically attracted more and more and more. As we hear more, we want to hear more, and we chant more, and as we purify, we want to chant more, and become devotees of Krishna. So this is another upay that Krishna has given us. And the key aspect is obviously when we are practicing, it's about the utsaha, nischay, and dharya. Utsaha means we keep maintaining the enthusiasm, and nischay means we've determined, and with dharya is we have the patience. So with the determination, with the enthusiasm, with the patience, we keep on practicing. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena guhyate. As we read a verse before that, abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena guhyate. So by practicing, and the detachment of situation where this is my time to enjoy. No, this is my time to serve Krishna. How can I serve Krishna? That is the statement that we keep telling ourselves, and we get more and more strength from Krishna. The challenges, there's also what we can't ignore is we are conditioned and we have challenges. How do we overcome the challenge? So in the Yoga Sutra itself, so we have Navda Bhakti. How there are 9 ways, different ways of 9 limbs of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. That way. And then there is also Patanjali, who's, we read before within the previous verses, and in the purport Prabhupada quoting him. He's also identified the obstacles. What are the obstacles for someone to practice yoga or Krishna consciousness? The 9 the obstacles that he defines, we can discuss that quickly in a time. Yeah, we have time. So Vyadhi, first is Vyadhi is like physical illness. Yeah, so physical illness, again, we read in the 6th chapter itself, there's a verse. Anyone knows how yoga bhavati dukkha? How someone can remain healthy is this verse. Yuktahar viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Yuktahar ahar viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu. So we regulated habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So yoga system is a yam niyam, asanas, all those upaya can be used for the purpose of keeping a healthy body. But they regulated just by eating regularly and at the right time. I did a 35-day course on Ayurveda one time, and I included a yoga as well as the Ayurveda a long time ago. And it was amazing what they were saying. Just by eating right food at the right time and sleeping at the right time with the correct state of mind, for example, like this is what we practice, reading Bhagavad Gita before we go to bed, gives perfect sleep, eating in time and sleeping in time, waking up. So automatically someone say, how do you wake up early? So, well, you don't wake up early, you sleep early. So when we sleep early, automatically wake up early. And the quality of sleep in the early hours of night between 9 and 12 is sometimes said 4 times the better sleep than midnight till 3 o'clock, something like that. There's a calculation someone is given, which is can practically experience it. So physical illness or inabilities for whatever reason can be overcome by this practice. And if we practice this, it works. We know that it works. We can try, and I can tell you my personal experience also. And sayana is lack of interest or enthusiasm. As we said, we have to maintain the enthusiasm. Yeah, sometimes Prabhupada says, if you don't feel enthusiastic, you just act enthusiastic. When you look at the other devotees who are enthusiastic, we associate with enthusiastic devotees, we become enthusiastic. And we keep the enthusiasm when we get a new taste every day, and we get more and more interested in chanting of the holy names. Then the third vyadhi, obstacle is the samshaya. So we have these doubts, whether I'm practicing it, whether it will work or it will not work. It's not working so far. I don't know. I'm not going that far. Sometimes we may get that, feeling. We do that. But we should throw away the doubt. Yeah, samshaya. We did just read that. So without a doubt, Krishna has given his promise in the 7th chapter. We read that first verse. Without a doubt, the success will be there if we carry on. We have to have that conviction. Or sometimes we may have the fourth obstacle is Brahmadal, carelessness or negligence. This is again like we know what is right. We can do it. We've seen other devotees achieving it, other practitioners doing it, but we can be sometimes just a little bit careless or negligent in following the rules and regulations. That can become an obstacle for our practice of Krishna consciousness, or become alasya, physical laziness. So that's also possible. We're just lazy sometimes. Oh, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like I'm going to the temple. It's very cold. But every time I push myself, in spite of cold and feeling lazy, I was just momentary. The moment we get to the temple, for the chanting session or be late from the classes or darshan or arti, or it just feels amazing. And so how could I think I was feeling lazy? It's just a temporary situation of the mind. Again, this is all the mind cheating. Most of these things are really the mind game. Yeah, lack of the physical illness also sometimes it could be caused because the mind just is not moving, not allowing us to do the right thing at the right time. Enthusiasm, mind is again lazy. The doubt is mind is always creating doubt. Sankalpa, vikalpa. Should I do this or should I not do this? Mind becomes careless. Mind wants us to be lazy. And the mind wants the desire for sense objects all the time. We enjoy this, enjoy that. This is another obstacle. And Bhranti Darshana there's another obstacle called Bhranti Darshana, a living under illusion or wrong understanding. What is the illusion? The biggest illusion is I am this body. We forget. It's very difficult to not forget. We do forget, and we get always feel covered. It's interesting when we get in the habit of reminding ourselves, as I said before, how can I serve? How can I please now? That illusion goes away. So amazing. And then the other obstacle could be we sometimes just missing the point or inability to hold on to what is achieved. So we just achieve certain success, but we can't hold on to it. We tend to go up and down. So that becomes an obstacle in achieving the success of the Krishna consciousness. And these are the other aspect is obviously we just strive more and more, inability to strive even for more and higher and higher. That can be achieved by the association of devotees. So so there was quite a technical rant, was it? But I hope it was making sense what I said. I'm just going to allow some time to discuss any further, any questions. We got 15 minutes, otherwise we didn't have any story today, but it's a little bit strong-worded purport by Srila Prabhupada, and for the right reason, obviously, and a little bit of a topic to introspect, a topic to persevere and keep trying and trying, remind ourselves that we can do it. We maintain the enthusiasm and maintain the determination and maintain the patience. We can get success. These are the means of the assured success. Anything else we can discuss? Any questions, anyone? Sorry if it's too strong. I was mostly speaking for my own purification, so please don't mind, but love to learn your own experiences in the practice of chanting with determination, with focus, with concentration, with samadhi. Anyone would like to share anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I wanted to say that when you first start, I can only speak for myself, when I first started becoming serious in Krishna consciousness, I didn't even think about giving things up, because senior devotees said I shouldn't think like that. I should just bring Krishna into my life. And the more I started to read about Krishna, and the more I started to attend sanghas, automatically the taste for the other things, you just don't want it anymore. Like I used to read a lot of normal material, Garmi books on the train going to work and things. And then I started to read Back to Godhead magazine and things like that. And then slowly, I don't have the taste to read those things anymore. There's so much that we can read from Srila Prabhupada's books and the devotees' books that I never really want to buy any more books, other than that, to read now.
Jai, that's another example of Paramnishta Nivartate. We have the higher taste and automatically we lose the lower taste. I don't even remember what I used to read. Sometimes forget, and it's good to forget all that. And there's no need, because Krishna gives us the memory and forgetfulness. Krishna says in Bhagavad Sarvashacham Hridhi Sannivishto Matta Smatir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Matta Smatir Jnanam Apohanam Cha means he's giving us the remembrance and also giving us the forgetfulness. So that is Krishna's mercy that comes when we show our sincerity. So whenever we take one little step, Krishna takes his step. So obviously our step and Krishna's step is a massive difference, but we get so much from Krishna. And all these come as blessings that we forget the lower taste, we get the higher taste. Thank you so much for sharing a very, very encouraging Shri Mataji. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share, please? That was very encouraging. I would like to get more encouragement if that's possible. That a reflection Prabhupada used to do all regularly. I heard that his first generation disciples would say that they would know what Prabhupada would be doing by knowing the time Prabhupada lived that verse. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So it was such a Prabhupada was obviously a living example of a pure devotee, and his achar and his words, everything was of that higher Krishna consciousness. So yes, I have also heard like Prabhupada would travel across the globe. He did 12 times, and he would be constantly traveling. But he would, his routine would be exactly the same. If he arrives in a place where it is a morning, let's say 7:30, and it's time for a Bhagavatam class, he would be straight on the Vyasasan, after he's freshened up, giving the Bhagavatam class. If he arrives at a time when it is for prasadam, like prasadam is a time for his translation. So he used to every night he would do translation. He'd start at 2 in the morning, and he would continue doing that. So irrespective of what the place is, what the situation is, he would always maintain the same routine, always. And also, like there's also said, like one time the doctor said for Prabhupada's health was not so good at the time when he went to US and a little bit of after that. So doctors suggested that he goes for a daily walk. And after that, Prabhupada never missed a walk. He just went every day for a walk, and all his disciples would go with him. And he would really walk very fast. I've heard from his disciples. And and he would at the same time, give Krishna Katha to all his disciples and just talk about Krishna constantly. So this is such amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Very, very enlivening. Anyone else? You have Krishangi Mataji, our seniors, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, so many others. Please share. Yes, that's how Prabhupada maintained his health, by regularly timing. Yukta har viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta sapnava bodhasya, yoga bhavati dukha. We just read that verse 6:17. Hare Krishna. I think that's all. Anyone else? Or maybe, is anyone going to sing any bhajan today, or that's it? Okay.
Not today, Prabhuji. Only on Sundays.
Only on Sundays. Okay. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna then. I think that's all. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and wish you all the best for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and the day is coming. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, for a wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.